I am Aeliryn of the lightborn elves, keeper of memories, and witness to an age bathed in brilliance. There was a time when the world believed without doubt the light ruled all things, not as a tyrant, but as a promise. It crowned kings, healed the wounded, and burned away the darkness that crept beyond the borders of reason. We were taught a single truth: if something perished in the light, then it was never worthy to endure. And so we did not mourn, we accepted. Temples rose higher than forests, their spires piercing the heavens. Priests spoke with voices calm and radiant, claiming to echo the will of truth itself. Under their gaze, shadows were forbidden, questions discouraged, and doubt named heresy. Back then, no one asked whether light could deceive, for how could that which illuminates all things ever lie? The world shone brightly, and we were blind. In time, the light ceased to be a gift and became a measure. It was no longer enough to live in its glow. One had to be proven worthy of it. Every thought was weighed, every doubt examined, every silence judged. Those who questioned were not called rebels or traitors, they were called dimmed. The dimmed were not executed, they were purified. I watched entire villages vanish beneath radiant rituals, their screams swallowed by hymns of mercy. The priests spoke softly as the light consumed flesh and memory alike, assuring us that what remained was peace. I wrote their words into the chronicles, for it was safer to record faith than fear. Shadows were erased from stone and soul, yet as darkness faded from the streets, a colder emptiness settled in its place. Laughter grew rare, art lost its color, hope became obedience. Still, we were told this was harmony, and I believed it. The first crack appeared in a place of worship. A child was brought before the altar, weak in body but pure in spirit, or so we were told. The priests raised their hands and called the light to heal. It descended in blinding radiance, and when it faded, only ash remained. They said the vessel had been flawed. They said the light makes no mistakes. I stood frozen, my faith trembling like glass beneath a hammer. If the light was mercy, why did it demand perfection? If it was truth, why did it leave no room for fragility? I searched the forbidden archives that night, shelves untouched by time, but heavy with erasure. There I found a single line spared by fire, etched so faintly it almost vanished. True light does not burn, it reveals. The passage had been struck from every record. Someone had feared those words, and for the first time, so did I.
After that night, silence followed me like a sentence already passed. I began to ask what had never been asked aloud, not in chambers of power, but within my own thoughts. Why did the light demand obedience? Why was doubt treated as corruption rather than curiosity? The answers came swiftly and without words. Access was revoked. Scrolls were sealed. Friends turned their eyes away. The priests warned me gently, the way one warns a child not to touch fire. In the deepest vault, I found a ledger of names, thousands of them, recorded without stories, marked only as cleansed. At the very end was a final entry burned so deeply into the page that the parchment itself had blackened. No title, no crime, only a name erased by flame. They had tried to make him forgotten, yet even ash remembers the fire that made it. I sensed his presence before I saw his form. The air around me grew warm, not with radiance, but with something heavier, older. No hymn announced his arrival, no prayer shaped the silence. He simply stood there, as if the world had made room for him without asking permission. He was tall and scarred, his body shaped by fire and survival rather than flesh alone. Flames traced his silhouette, yet they did not burn my eyes. Instead, they revealed what the light had carefully hidden from history, truths buried beneath devotion, names erased by fear. When he spoke, his voice carried no fury, only certainty. In that moment, I understood he had not been summoned by my questions. He had been waiting for them. He told me he was the first to ask why the light demanded obedience instead of understanding. For that single doubt, he was cast into flame and named darkness. And as his fire flickered in the quiet hall, the foundations of my faith began to crack. He did not fade when his story ended. He remained with me, like a shadow that no longer feared the light. Wherever my thoughts turned, he guided them gently, never forcing, only unveiling what had been hidden behind centuries of reverence. He showed me cities as they were before the light's dominion, imperfect streets filled with voices, disagreements, laughter, and choice. Life moved freely there, unmeasured and unjudged. Then the vision shifted. The same cities stood untouched by shadow, polished by radiance, order without warmth, silence without grief. Nothing broken, yet nothing alive. I saw him standing before the first cleansing, alone before the altar, asking not for mercy, but for restraint. He did not raise a weapon, he raised a question. The fire took his body, but not his will. And as the ash settled, I understood. Truth does not vanish when burned. It waits for someone willing to see it. The more I understood, the clearer the pattern became. The light was never cruel by nature, it was absolute, and absolutes do not coexist, they dominate. What began as guidance had hardened into command, and what was once hope had become law. The light no longer illuminated the world, it measured it. It allowed no contrast, no shadow, no refusal. Anything that did not reflect its brilliance was deemed flawed, unworthy of continuation, not because it threatened order, but because it reminded the light of its limits. I realized then that the light did not seek balance, it sought permanence, to rule without challenge, to exist without change. Malreth did not speak as this truth unfolded. He did not need to. His silence was heavier than fire. He had never stood against the light as an enemy, only as a witness, one who refused to kneel. And that refusal had been enough to condemn him. The truth did not strike like lightning. It settled slowly, heavy and undeniable. I understood what the light demanded of me long before the words were spoken. The chronicles were to be sealed, the visions erased, history corrected once more. I was offered safety, silence, a place among the faithful where doubt would never reach me again. All I had to do was let the truth burn quietly as so many others had before it. I stood in the hall of records with Malreth's fire reflected in the polished stone. He did not urge me forward, nor did he warn me back. The choice was mine alone. To speak would fracture the world I loved. To remain silent would preserve a lie. As my hand hovered over the final seal, I realized the light feared not rebellion, but decision, for in choosing I stepped beyond its control, and in that moment I chose to remember. When the truth was spoken, the light did not vanish, it faltered. Its brilliance wavered like a flame starved of air. For the first time, it was no longer unquestioned. The words moved through the world quietly at first, carried by whispers, by forgotten songs, by memories that refused to stay buried. People began to see what the light had hidden behind its glow. Not monsters, not corruption, but difference. Cities did not fall into darkness, they breathed. Shadows returned, not as enemies, but as proof of depth. Color bled back into stone and skin alike. The world did not break, it changed. I felt the light watching, uncertain, diminished not by force, but by understanding. It could no longer claim to be all things. Beside me, Malreth stood in silence, his fire steady and contained. He had never sought to replace the light, only to remind it that it was not alone. And the age of blindness came to an end. The light remained. So did the shadow. Neither vanished, and neither claimed victory. The world learned to exist between them, no longer blinded by brilliance, nor lost in darkness. It became more fragile and more alive. Malreth did not rise as a savior, nor did he fall as a villain. History would struggle to name him, as it always does with those who refuse simple roles. He was a reminder that absolutes demand obedience, but truth requires choice. As for me, I no longer write to preserve comfort. I write to preserve balance, to remember that illumination without contrast is not wisdom, but silence. If this story reaches you, know this: when something claims to be perfect and eternal, listen closely. Perfection fears change. Eternity fears questions. Light can guide, shadow can teach, and only between them does truth endure.